Captain Jack Murphy, former United States Marine and current wielder of the most sophisticated piece of human technology, according to the Galactic Council, a Swiffer wetjet, was having what he'd characterize as a distinctly below-average Tuesday. "I must be hallucinating," Murphy muttered, staring at the glowing purple tentacle that had just emerged from the supply closet he'd been about to access. "Either that or someone spiked my coffee again." He made a mental note to have another talk with Dave from accounting about appropriate workplace pranks. The tentacle extended further, followed by what appeared to be a gelatinous cube wearing what could only be described as a three-piece suit made of light. The being pulsed with a soft azure glow as it emerged, trailing smaller geometric shapes that Murphy's brain desperately tried to categorize as either appendages or accessories. "Greetings, Maintenance Overlord of Sector C," the cube burbled in perfect English. "I am Grand Counselor Xylophone of the Galactic Confederation. We have been monitoring your species for some time, and I must say your mastery of chemical warfare is most impressive." Murphy glanced down at the bottle of industrial-strength toilet cleaner in his hand. This is just for the men's room on level 3. Trust me, after Taco Tuesday you need the strong stuff." The cube rippled in what Murphy hoped was appreciation rather than digestive distress. "Ah yes, your legendary biological weapons program. We have intercepted transmissions regarding this Taco Tuesday, most ingenious to disguise it as a cultural celebration." Before Murphy could correct this rather significant misunderstanding, 3 more aliens emerged from the supply closet. One looked like a wind chime made of soap bubbles, another resembled an origami crane folded from Aurora Borealis, and the third was just Dave from accounting. Dave. Murphy squinted. "What are you doing with the alien delegation?" "Oh, they found me first," Dave shrugged. "Thought I was a superior being because I was wearing a tie. I didn't have the heart to correct them." The wind chime alien chimed melodiously. "We have come to formally evaluate Earth's readiness for joining the Galactic Confederation. Our preliminary observations suggest you are a peaceful, if somewhat primitive species, whose most advanced technology appears to be these remarkable chemical dispensing devices." It gestured toward Murphy's cleaning cart with what might have been reverence. Murphy opened his mouth to explain, then closed it again as an idea began to form. He'd spent 15 years in the Marines before a slight misunderstanding involving 3 chickens, a superior officer's convertible, and what he maintained was an entirely reasonable amount of explosives, had led to his current career in custodial arts. Perhaps this was the universe offering him a second chance at diplomacy. "Well," he said carefully, "I suppose I could give you the tour. But first, there are some important cultural protocols we need to observe." He reached into his cart and pulled out a spray bottle of glass cleaner. "This is our traditional greeting ceremony. Please hold still while I demonstrate our people's sacred ritual of streak-free transparency." The aliens watched in fascination as Murphy spritzed the windows with professional efficiency. The cube's voice wavered with emotion. Such precision, such mastery over molecular redistribution. Truly, we had underestimated your species' technological advancement. As Murphy led the delegation down the hallway, explaining the sacred significance of the wet floor sign as a warning totem to ward off evil spirits, or at least lawsuit-happy executives, he couldn't help but smile. Maybe this wouldn't be such a below-average Tuesday after all. That's when the station's CEO rounded the corner, slipped on the freshly mopped floor despite the warning sign, and face-planted directly into Grand Counselor Xylophone's gelatinous form. "Ah," Murphy sighed, reaching for his incident report forms. "This is what we in the custodial arts refer to as a diplomatic situation." The next 20 minutes consisted of Murphy trying to explain to the aliens that no, the CEO hadn't just initiated ritual combat by merging his biomass with Grand Counselor Xylophone's, while simultaneously attempting to convince his boss that the gelatinous cube adhered to his face was, in fact, the head of an interstellar delegation and not the result of another failed experiment from the research department. "With all due respect," Sir Murphy said, carefully peeling his supervisor from the counselor's surface, "perhaps we should focus less on quarterly projections and more on the fact that we're making first contact with an advanced alien civilization." "Advanced is a relative term," burbled Xylophone, still trying to maintain his cubic shape despite having a distinct CEO-shaped impression in one side. "We've observed your species' remarkable dedication to developing cleaning solutions while completely ignoring trivial matters like faster-than-light travel." About that Murphy began, but was interrupted by the origami crane alien unfurling what appeared to be a scroll made of condensed starlight. According to Galactic Protocol 7249b, subsection Gamma, the crane announced in a voice like wind through crystal, When a species demonstrates mastery over molecular manipulation but lacks basic spacefaring capabilities, it is our duty to facilitate their development through peaceful annexation. Murphy's danger sense, honed by 15 years of military service and 2 years of breaking up fights over whose lunch was whose in the break room, started tingling. Peaceful what now? Annexation, the crane repeated cheerfully. Don't worry, we have all the necessary forms in quintuplicate. We just need you to sign here, here, and... It paused, unfurling the scroll further until it reached the floor and continued unrolling down the hallway, approximately every 3 inches for the next 72 feet. Murphy did what any reasonable person would do when presented with excessive paperwork. He took a long drink from his coffee mug. Unfortunately, his aim was slightly off due to the chaos of the situation, and a significant portion of his triple-shot espresso landed on the luminous scroll. The aliens gasped in unison. Even Dave from accounting looked concerned, and Dave's typical response to workplace crises was to put on noise-canceling headphones and pretend to be a potted plant. The sacred text, the wind chime alien chimed in alarm. He has anointed them with the legendary battle brew. That's just coffee, Murphy tried to explain, but was drowned out by what sounded like a heavenly choir having a panic attack. Look what you've done now, Dave whispered. They think you've initiated some kind of ritual challenge. The last time an alien spilled liquid on a Galactic Council document, it started the Great Nebula War of 47392. How do you know that? Murphy hissed back. Dave shrugged. They've been talking to me for hours. Did you know their entire legal system is based on proper hydration and snack breaks? Before Murphy could process this information, Grand Counselor Xylophone began pulsing with an intense purple light. The human has invoked the ancient rites. We must respond according to tradition. The cube turned to Murphy and asked, in what was clearly meant to be a formal tone, what are the terms of your challenge, O wielder of the sacred solutions? Murphy looked at his coffee mug, looked at the terrified expression on his CEO's face, looked at Dave, who was already reaching for his headphones, and decided to lean into the absurdity of the situation. Listen here. You geometric son of a space curve, he growled, channeling his best drill sergeant voice. I've spent 2 years keeping this station running with nothing but industrial strength degreaser and sheer force of will. If you think you can come in here with your fancy light-based bureaucracy and take over my turf, you've got another thing coming. The aliens huddled together, whispering frantically. Murphy caught phrases like ancient warrior dialect and clearly a master of tactical profanity. The CEO, who had finally regained his composure, tugged on Murphy's sleeve. Captain, what exactly are you doing? Buying us time, Murphy muttered back. And possibly getting myself promoted. I've always wanted my own office. The alien delegation finally broke their huddle. Grand Counselor Xylophone floated forward, somehow managing to look both intimidated and impressed. We were not prepared for such intensity. Clearly, we must reassess our understanding of human capabilities. Perhaps a temporary diplomatic retreat would be in order. You bet your translucent behind it would, Murphy declared, taking another sip of coffee for dramatic effect. And next time, make an appointment like civilized beings. I just waxed this floor. As the aliens began backing toward the supply closet, the wind chime alien whispered to Dave, is he always this terrifying? You should see him when someone doesn't refill the coffee maker, Dave replied sagely. After the delegation had disappeared back through whatever dimensional portal they'd emerged from, leaving only a faint scent of lemon fresh cleaner in their wake, the CEO turned to Murphy with an unreadable expression. Captain, he said slowly, I believe we need to discuss your new position as our Chief of Interstellar Relations. Murphy grinned. Does this mean I get a better mop? Murphy's new office came with 3 important upgrades: a desk that wasn't also a cleaning cart, a nameplate that read Chief of Interstellar Relations and Janitorial Services, and most importantly, a coffee maker that hadn't been colonized by mysterious breakroom fungi. He was just enjoying his first officially sanctioned coffee break when a familiar purple glow began emanating from his supply closet. Right on schedule, he muttered, checking his watch. And here I thought aliens might understand the concept of lunch hour. The door swung open to reveal not the entire delegation, but a single alien who appeared to be made entirely of hovering spreadsheets and disapproving post-it notes. Captain Murphy, the being said in a voice that somehow managed to sound like a passive-aggressive email being read aloud. I am Ambassador Zex, Chief Bureaucratic Interpreter for the Galactic Council. I've been assigned to understand your species better. Murphy leaned back in his chair, propping his feet on his desk because he'd waited 2 years to be able to do exactly that. Let me guess they sent you to figure out if I'm actually a powerful warrior diplomat, or just a guy who's really good with a mop. Your insight is disturbing, Zix rustled. Our preliminary research has revealed some concerning information about your species. For instance, we discovered something called Wikipedia. Oh boy, Murphy sighed. According to this repository of knowledge, your species has engaged in something called warfare multiple times, with increasingly creative methods of causing chaos. Look, Murphy started, but Zix was on a roll, papers fluttering in agitation. You have entire categories of activities labeled as war crimes, things that are apparently so excessive that even in the midst of organized violence, you had to stop and say, wait, that's too much violence. To be fair, your species invented something called taxes, and then invented multiple ways to avoid paying them. Now that's just... You created artificial intelligence and immediately started teaching it to make memes. Murphy took a long sip of coffee. Would it help if I explained that we're not actually as organized as we seem? Most of that was just humans being humans. That's exactly what concerns us, as X's papers were now swirling in what Murphy recognized as the universal bureaucratic sign of distress. We originally assumed you were a peaceful species because you seemed focused entirely on developing cleaning products and competitive food consumption contests, but now we realize you just do these things for fun, while also maintaining the capability to split atoms. If it makes you feel any better, Dave said, somehow having appeared in Murphy's office without either of them noticing, most of us are too busy arguing about pizza toppings to cause any real galactic chaos. Dave, Murphy sighed. How do you keep getting involved in these diplomatic situations? I brought donuts, Dave replied, holding up a box. Aliens love donuts. Something about the geometric perfection speaking to their souls. Ambassador Zix's papers stopped swirling momentarily. Are these the legendary circular sustenance units we've heard about? The ones with the tactically advantageous hole in the center? They're just donuts, Murphy started to say, but Dave was already offering the box to the ambassador with the air of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Zix cautiously extended what might have been an appendage and selected a glazed donut. The moment it touched the pastry, all its papers turned pink and began emitting a soft humming sound. This is remarkable, Zix vibrated. The combination of sugar, fat, and complete nutritional irrelevance. It's exactly the kind of thing that makes your species so terrifying. You created this not for war, not for survival, but simply because you could. Wait until you hear about deep-fried butter, Dave commented. Murphy shot him a look. Not helping, Dave. But Zix was already pulling out more papers, pink ones this time. I need to report this to the council immediately. A species that can create something this simultaneously pointless and perfect. The implications are staggering. It's just a donut, Murphy tried again, but he could tell from the growing stack of forms materializing around Zix that this was going to be another long day in interstellar relations. Captain Murphy, Zix said formally, I believe we need to schedule an emergency meeting with the full council. There are concerns about your species that need to be addressed. Such as? Well, for one, we've discovered your entertainment broadcasts. Tell me, these action movies, are they historical documents? Murphy glanced at his coffee maker, wondering if it was too early to add something stronger. That's a complicated question. And these energy drinks you consume, are they truly just beverages? Or are they actually combat enhancement potions? Dave, helpful as ever, chimed in. Wait until they hear about Monster Energy's lawyer team. Murphy reached for his incident report forms, then paused and grabbed the bottle of aspirin from his desk drawer instead. Something told him this was going to require the industrial strength stuff, both the painkillers and his diplomatic skills. Ambassador, he said carefully, maybe we should start with something simpler. Have you heard about our concept of weekend brunches? The alien's papers ruffled in confusion. Is that some sort of tactical gathering? Oh boy, Dave whispered, already reaching for more donuts. This is going to be good. The emergency council meeting was going about as well as Murphy expected, which is to say it was a complete disaster. The entire Galactic Council had crammed themselves into the station's largest conference room, which wasn't designed to accommodate beings made of pure energy or geometric shapes that casually ignored the laws of physics. Let me get this straight, Grand Counselor's xylophone vibrated intensely. You're saying that humans created these energy drinks not as combat stimulants, but because you didn't think regular beverages were exciting enough. Murphy took a slow sip from his fourth cup of coffee. That's barely scratching the surface of questionable human beverage choices, but essentially yes. The wind chime alien chimed in distress. But our analysis shows they contain enough stimulants to make a Zorgax battle beast hyperventilate, and those have 6 cardiovascular systems. Look, Murphy tried to explain, humans just like to push things to their limits. Sometimes those things are beverages. Sometimes they're hot sauce. Sometimes they're constitutional democracies. About this hot sauce, Ambassador Zix rustled nervously, floating closer to Murphy's end of the conference table. Our chemical analysis of the substances in your break room indicates they contain capsaicin levels that violate several interstellar weapons treaties. Dave, who had somehow been appointed as Assistant Chief of Interstellar Relations and Vending Machine Services, helpfully placed a bottle of extra hot sauce on the table. This one makes you sign a waiver before eating it. The entire council recoiled in horror. The origami crane alien actually unfolded itself in shock before hastily reforming into something that looked more like a distressed paper airplane. Captain Murphy Xylophone said gravely, "We cannot allow these chemical weapons to remain in unsecured locations. The hot sauce must be contained." Murphy's danger sense started tingling again. Now hold on a minute. But it was too late. The council had already enacted emergency protocols. A team of aliens that looked like floating hazmat symbols materialized and began advancing toward the break room. "Oh hell no," Murphy growled, channeling every ounce of his Marine training. "Nobody touches my hot sauce collection. I had to special order that ghost pepper blend from Tennessee." "This is for the safety of the galaxy," Zix insisted, papers whirling in bureaucratic determination. Dave Murphy said calmly, "Initiate Protocol Taco Tuesday." Dave's eyes widened. "But sir, it's only Thursday." Did I stutter? Dave snapped a salute that would have made Murphy's old drill sergeant proud and sprinted from the room. Moments later, the station's intercom crackled to life. "Attention, all personnel, emergency Taco Tuesday protocols are now in effect. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every human on the station emerged from their offices, clutching their personal hot sauce collections protectively. The research department rolled out what they swore was just a really big salsa dispenser, but looked suspiciously like a repurposed missile launcher. The accounting department formed a defensive perimeter around the break room, armed with plastic sporks and righteous indignation. "What is happening?" Xylophone pulsed in alarm. "This," Murphy declared, standing to his full height, "is humanity defending its constitutional right to voluntarily cause ourselves gastrointestinal distress. You want our hot sauce? You'll have to pry it from our burning, capsaicin-stained hands." The hazmat aliens paused, their symbols flickering uncertainly. One of them approached Xylophone and transmitted something that sounded like a dial-up modem having an anxiety attack. "What do you mean the humans have weaponized their digestive systems?" Xylophone demanded. "That's not possible." "Oh, it's worse than that," Dave said, returning with an armful of emergency taco supplies. "Wait until you see what happens when we combine energy drinks with extra spicy burritos. We call it the Thunderdome Special." Ambassador Zix's papers began turning various shades of alarmed. But that violates at least 15 laws of biochemistry." "Welcome to Earth," Murphy grinned, "where we treat the laws of nature more like strong suggestions." The council huddled together, having what appeared to be an intense discussion in a language that sounded like a keyboard smashing contest. Meanwhile, the station's humans had begun constructing elaborate hot sauce fortifications, including what Murphy was pretty sure was a trebuchet made entirely of empty Taco Bell sauce packets. Finally, Xylophone floated forward. "Captain Murphy, perhaps we have been hasty in our judgment. It seems your species has developed defenses we hadn't anticipated." "You mean common sense and self-preservation instincts?" "Nah, we threw those out years ago. What we have is spite and creativity." That, Zix rustled, "is exactly what concerns us." "Tell you what," Murphy offered, "how about we discuss this over lunch? Dave makes a mean 7-layer dip, completely non-lethal, I promise. Most of the time." The aliens exchanged uncertain glances. Unless, Murphy added with a hint of challenge in his voice, "you're afraid of a little Earth cuisine." There was a moment of tense silence, broken only by the sound of someone in accounting quietly chanting, "One of us. One of us." "Very well," Xylophone conceded. "We accept your cultural exchange proposal. but we require all participants to sign liability waivers in triplicate. Already got them right here, Dave announced, producing a stack of forms. I took the liberty of adding a section about potential interdimensional side effects, just in case. Murphy watched as the council began carefully reviewing the paperwork, each member's natural glow dimming slightly as they read the fine print about possible spontaneous quantum flavor fluctuations. Dave, he whispered, remind me to put you in for a raise. Can I get paid in hot sauce? Don't push it. The cultural exchange lunch was going surprisingly well, if you didn't count the 3 minor dimensional rifts caused by someone combining monster energy with Dave's 7-layer dip. Murphy had just started to think they might actually achieve some real diplomatic progress when Ambassador Zex made a discovery that changed everything. Captain Murphy Zix's papers rustled with barely contained panic. We need to discuss something our research team just uncovered in your entertainment archives. Murphy looked up from his taco. Please tell me you didn't find TikTok. Worse. We found something called Die Hard. The entire council fell silent. Even Dave stopped trying to explain the concept of being dipped to a being made of pure quantum uncertainty. Murphy said carefully. I can explain that. Can you? Xylophone pulsed skeptically. Because according to our analysis, this appears to be a historical document detailing a single human's successful combat operation against multiple adversaries, conducted primarily through the use of air ventilation systems and creative profanity. It's not exactly. And then the origami crane alien unfolded agitatedly. We found the sequels. Murphy pinched the bridge of his nose. Okay, look. Your species has documented countless such incidents. Zix's papers were now cycling through various warning colors. We found records of humans battling giant robots, alien invasions, supernatural entities, and in one particularly disturbing case, sentient weather patterns. Those are movies, Murphy tried to explain. They're not real. They're just stories we tell for entertainment. The council stared at him in horror. You mean? Xylophone vibrated slowly. You create these scenarios. For fun. Well, yeah. Humans like to imagine. You spend vast resources constructing elaborate simulations of impossible scenarios just to amuse yourselves. When you put it that way. And these simulations frequently involve a single human defeating overwhelming odds through a combination of determination, improvised weapons, and what appears to be a complete disregard for the laws of physics. Murphy considered his next words carefully. Would it help if I told you we also make movies about talking animals and romantic comedies? You mean you've developed technology to communicate with other Earth species? The wind chime alien chimed in alarm. No, that's not. And you document your courtship rituals. Dave, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. Wait until they find out about professional wrestling. Murphy shot him a look that promised revenge in the form of future vending machine duties. Not helping Dave. But it was too late. The council was already accessing Earth's entertainment databases, their collective glow brightening with each new discovery. These superhero chronicles, Zix rustled intensely. Are you saying humans regularly fantasize about gaining extraordinary abilities and immediately using them to engage in urban combat? Only on weekends, Dave muttered. Before Murphy could attempt damage control, a commotion erupted from the break room. 2 human employees were engaged in what appeared to be a heated argument over a missing lunch. That was my sandwich, one shouted. I clearly labeled it. Labels fall off, the other retorted. And anyway, how was I supposed to know your name was also Greg? The council watched in fascination as the argument escalated, complete with dramatic gestures and creative applications of workplace-appropriate language. Are they initiating combat? Xylophone asked nervously. Nah, this is just Tuesday, Murphy sighed. Well, Thursday technically, but we're operating on Taco Tuesday protocol, so. Attention all personnel, the station's AI announced suddenly, its voice eerily calm. Break room incident level has reached DEFCON sandwich, initiating standard containment procedures. The council watched in horror as a series of automated systems activated. Coffee makers locked down. Vending machines engaged their safety protocols. A blast shield descended over the microwave. What kind of warfare requires such elaborate containment? The origami crane alien asked, now shaped like an anxious paperclip. It's not warfare, Murphy tried to explain. It's just office politics. You have weaponized politics as well. Zix's papers began filing themselves in terror. No, it's more like, look, humans just get a bit passionate about their lunch breaks. This level of passion is typically reserved for interstellar conflicts, Xylophone protested. You should see them during fantasy football season, Dave added helpfully. Murphy was about to suggest a strategic retreat when Greg, or possibly the other Greg, knocked over someone's carefully hoarded energy drink stash. The resulting crash echoed through the station like the opening salvos of a revolution. Battle beverages have been deployed, the origami crane shrieked, transforming into what appeared to be an origami white flag. Emergency Council session, Xylophone announced. We must reassess everything we thought we knew about human civilization. As the council rapidly evacuated the break room, Murphy turned to Dave. You know what the worst part is? That we'll have to fill out incident reports and triplicate. No. That was actually my sandwich they were fighting over. Dave nodded sagely. I know, I ate it. The emergency council session had been running for 6 hours, during which Murphy had consumed enough coffee to make a quantum physicist question the laws of fluid dynamics. The council chamber, which was actually just conference room B with some hastily added space-time modifications, was filled with the gentle sounds of bureaucratic panic. After careful review of all available evidence, Grand Counselor Xylophone announced, we have come to a conclusion about humanity. Murphy braced himself. Dave Stress ate another donut. Your species, Xylophone continued, is clearly far too dangerous to be left unsupervised, but also far too chaotic to be safely conquered. That's fair, Murphy admitted. You invent terrifying chemical compounds for entertainment, Ambassador Zix's papers rustled accusingly. You simulate impossible scenarios for fun. You turn everything, literally everything, into a competition. One of your humans just tried to explain something called a hot dog eating contest to me and I had to reboot 3 times. Sorry about that, Dave said, not looking sorry at all. But in my defense, you asked about Earth sports. The point is, Xylophone pulsed, we have decided to classify Earth as a protected system. Murphy blinked. Protected from what? Not protected from anything, the wind chime alien chimed nervously. Protected for something. Specifically, to protect the rest of the galaxy from you. That seems a bit extreme. You invented a beverage that can dissolve metals, Zix interrupted, and then you named it Coca-Cola and made it your planet's most popular drink. Well, when you put it that way. Therefore, Xylophone continued formally, Earth is hereby designated as Containment Zone Alpha. Approach at own risk. We'll be establishing a safety perimeter around your solar system. For the galaxy's protection. And our protection, the origami crane added, still maintaining its paperclip shape from earlier. Mostly our protection. Murphy considered this. So, what you're saying is, humanity is basically being grounded on a galactic scale. Precisely, Xylophone brightened. You understand the concept perfectly. And this means you'll be left alone to continue your activities, Zex rustled, somehow making it sound like humanity's entire existence was one long workplace safety violation. We'll maintain minimal diplomatic contact, primarily through your office. My office, Murphy's danger sense started tingling again. Yes, congratulations, Captain Murphy. You are now Earth's official liaison to the Galactic Council, primarily because you're the only human we've met who seems to understand how terrifying your species actually is. Dave raised his hand. What about me? Zix's papers shuffled meaningfully, are either the most brilliant or most disturbing human we've encountered. We're still not sure which. Either way, you're also being promoted. To what? Murphy asked, dreading the answer. Chief of Human Containment Strategy and Snack Distribution. Dave pumped his fist. I knew the vending machine thing would pay off. The council proceeded to present Murphy with his new credentials, which included a badge that seemed to be made of crystallized bureaucracy and a manual titled So You're Responsible for Containing an Entire Species, a Guide to Interdimensional Incident Management. Just one last question, Murphy said as the council prepared to depart. What exactly made you realize humanity was too chaotic to safely interact with? The aliens exchanged glances. It wasn't the weapons, Xylophone admitted. Or the combat simulations. Or even your terrifying ability to turn anything into a competition. It was the hot sauce, the wind chime alien chimed solemnly. The hot sauce, Murphy repeated. You are the only known species in the galaxy that deliberately developed substances that cause pain. For pleasure, Zix explained. And then you started ranking them by how much they hurt. When you put it that way. You created the Scoville scale. The origami crane rustled accusingly. You quantified pain as a recreational metric. Yeah, that tracks. Dave nodded. As the council filed out through what used to be the supply closet but was now apparently an interdimensional diplomatic portal, Murphy turned to Dave. So he said, "Want to get lunch?" "Sure. But maybe we should wait until the council is gone before we show them what wasabi is." Murphy grinned. "You know what, Dave? I think this is the beginning of a beautiful diplomatic crisis." Back in his office, Murphy added one final note to his incident report. Conclusion: Earth has been quarantined from the galactic community due to humanity's relationship with capsaicin and our concerning tendency to turn everything into a sport. On the plus side, I got a parking space out of it. Note to self. Do not tell aliens about competitive eating championships. Some things the galaxy just isn't ready for. He paused, then added additional note: Dave is no longer allowed to explain human cultural practices to alien diplomats without adult supervision. The interpretive dance demonstration of the NASCAR rulebook incident must never be repeated.